What's happening every week, all spring at Kmart? The Kmart Spring Break. Everywhere you look, as long as you look in Kmart, you'll find breaks on everything you need.
Get a break on jeans for the whole family. Buy one pair.
It is quickened, and I'm right next to a busy road, so this might be pretty loud, but we are getting ready to go to Kmart. Are you thinking, I thought all the Kmarts went out of business? I thought that too. And I remember being reasonably upset because Kmart, if you didn't know, okay, so I came off the road a little bit, so hopefully you can hear me a little better. If you were wondering, like, oh, I thought all the Kmarts were closed, I did too. And then I was talking to my grandmother the other day, and she was like, oh, you know, I'm getting the flower beds ready. I got my flowers from Kmart. And I was like, oh, did you get a good deal? They're going out of business. And she was like, my Kmart isn't going out of business. So, even like this Bonton over here has a going out of business sign on it. So before I say like, oh, this is kind of a small town, like maybe the Kmart has a good chance of not going out of business, I believed Bonton was going out of business as an entire company. I believe Kmart was going out of business for the same thing. I did a little research before coming out here, and by little research I mean retail apocalypse has been something I've been pretty interested in for a little while now. There's a couple reasons Kmart is supposedly as an entire company going out of business. You know, they didn't really adapt with trends. They have huge competitors, Amazon, Target, Walmart. They didn't really modernize, and they spent a lot of money early on buying up companies. So Kmart, the company, bought Sears. It wasn't the other way around. And then Kmart also bought Office Max. And these are just both companies that, instead of Kmart fortifying itself and growing as a company, adapting with changes and stuff, they just failed miserably. And you can find Kmart's, like big Kmart that has like a pharmacy inside. The Kmart we're going to today, I believe, is a big K. No pharmacy. It had like a food kind of area in the beginning, but I don't believe they have it now. The thing about me and Kmart is my grandmother worked at Kmart, my mother worked at Kmart, my father worked at Kmart and met my mother at Kmart. I continue. My brother's father's sister worked at Kmart with my mom, and that's how they met, because they had like a mutual. So Kmart, kind of like a big part of my lineage. I continue. I worked at Kmart, and I worked at this Kmart, and I actually worked at this Kmart at the same time as my mom at one point in our lives. So Kmart, Kmart, Kmart. And I reapplied to this Kmart when I moved back to Pennsylvania, and they didn't hire me back. Isn't this just like a devastating image of the retail apocalypse? It seems like people have left like little messages in here. Plants. But it's true. I mean, if you live in a smaller community where you stay local and perhaps you don't shop online, a big box store like that was probably somewhere you called home. It's like seeing one of your exes in public. Ooh. I have a couple working theories on why this Kmart is not going out of business. We're not there yet, so maybe they are. One of the theories is, one, there's not really an accessible Walmart or Target that services this township. So when I was here, you know, I think the first time I went to a Target in my life was as a teenager. Justine and I were doing Black Friday for like the first time without our parents, and we wanted to go there. First time. We must have been 16 or 17. But before that, we had frequented Kmart all the time. It's where you went. So because there is not an accessible Target or Walmart in this area, I believe the Kmart is where people would go. When I worked there, people used it as a grocery store, which is very surprising because I'll show you, their food section is very limited and estranged. People use it for home and garden supply. Other than Home Depot, which there is not a Home Depot in this area, your Kmart is going to be where you buy shovels, equipment for your lawn. They have a garden center, which was always relatively busy, so that's why I think that works. So I think it caters to an area where there's not much else and the demand is still high. So my second theory. This area, I mean, if you were from the suburbs, you probably understand, there's not a ton of places you can go without a car, and this is definitely one of those places. And the Kmart actually has this like surprising kind of thing where the shopping center is kind of nestled around a couple communities of people, some more working class neighborhoods and a retirement community. And because these communities are near the Kmart in a place where not many places are accessible by foot, anyone who lives in this neighborhood, the neighborhood I just walked through, the retirement community, which is a big part of the economy in this town. Like when I worked at McDonald's, a lot of our customers were from the retirement community, and they'll tell you that McDonald's are always strategically placed somewhere. So I think because of this, elderly people can access the Kmart. These people who, you know, you can't get to the Target or the Walmart around here without a car. Someone like this, you know, someone who lives in this community can actually walk there. And it's so close, so that is kind of like rare or surprising for a suburban area where most of the places you need a car to access. So if you can get there by foot, that also means that it can appeal to a younger consumer as well who can walk there. You know, if you have your friends over, you could walk to Kmart to get snacks or like for a movie night, or you could walk there and get a video game if they have it. When I worked there, I used to ride my bike there, so very accessible. Like more accessible, I would say, than being able to go to Target if you lived in that house. I don't know if they would even have that video game or DVD for a movie night that you're looking for. Whew. She's a lowercase Kmart. So in this shopping center, there's also a Giant, which is newer. Or I believe there was always a grocery store there, but they remodeled. There's a Perkins that I used to be a regular at. A True Value, which I believe is a hardware store, and a CVS. When I was a kid, there was a Fashion Bug here, a standalone Fashion Bug, which I believe they turned into like a Five Guys, or they tore down. What else is here? Like a local pizza place. Kind of like nothing in too much competition with the Kmart other than the grocery store. I know you're allowed to park overnight at the Walmart parking lot, but not at Big K right here. Miracle Ear. coming up on the Kmart. You can see that SEPTA bus right there. So if you live in Philadelphia, this is actually the final stop on one of the bus lines. So another thing, like if you're somebody who lives kind of locally, you can always grab the bus here too. But the bus also does go the other way, so you could take it to Target or Walmart as well, but this would be your closest experience. I'm coming onto the parking lot, and you know, it seems kind of sparse, but it is just like a Tuesday afternoon. These cars back here would most likely be employee cars, and then everything else. You can see there is a Salad Works next door. Oh, True Value is a paint store. So the parking lot is in pretty good condition. There was a Kmart that went out of business in Willow Grove, and you just knew it was on its last leg. So everything out here seems okay. There's a parking attendant doing the carts right now. So the Kmart, you'll notice here, doesn't say Kmart on it, which seems kind of like a red flag to me, a missed opportunity. So right away, I'm kind of like, what's that mean? Some POP for Kmart, and it says summer savings, so that seems current. And when you look at these dates on here, they're for this year. So I guess the summer savings start in May and then end in June 2018. So this is a new sign for this year. If you want to know you're shopping at Kmart, you have to go all the way over here to see the Kmart sign. It is a lowercase Kmart, so it's not a like a super Kmart or anything. And I believe in my research, this lowercase Kmart is like kind of the final installment of Kmart's. So if it was like a big K, okay, so that's not true. The big K that says Kmart inside is the final installment. So this must be one from like still the 90s. Like I said, like a big focus on the garden section, even taking up one whole side of the parking lot for just like garden center stuff. And a couple of the people who pass me are holding plants. So big focus there. I'm kind of nervous to go in because I worked here, but that was over 10 years ago, so hopefully none of the same people work here. So I'm gonna sneak my camera in and kind of show you guys how this Kmart is still alive, what it looks like on the inside, if it hasn't been updated since I worked here. Kind of sneak you in here. My back is covered in sweat. Here's a little hello, that's pretty cute. Oh yeah, I used to wear a name tag when I worked here.
Alright, where are fans?
So, looks like you have a Coinstar, layaway, and then some summer stuff. The displays, everything is set up exactly from when I worked here. The registers, everything. How cute is this? Pretty good price. Ooh. It's pretty trendy. Joe Boxer. Oh my god. Does that say dream? Is this camo with paper planes? Oh my god, I might have to surprise John with a Joe Boxer sheet set. Being such a good lad. I've never heard of Piper, so that must be like a new kind of initiative here. Looks pretty cool. Maybe to compete with Target's, oh no, what's their kids thing called? I know it. I love this about Kmart. You could pick themes. Beige. Usually fish is like one of the themes. I guess they got rid of that. When I worked here, it was all Hannah Montana shit. Mustaches. So blue light used to be a big thing at Kmart when I was a kid. They would actually have blue lights at the end of aisles, and the blue light special would happen, and then something over there would be on sale. But it's unreasonable to think that we would wait in Kmart all day for blue light specials. So it looks like they're trying to be with the, you know, very popular like athleisure. I have to stop adding a U in that. Athleisure. I love this song. And you can get a bin while you're here. I kind of love these displays. Like when you were a kid and you would hide in them. Oh, Everlast? Wonder if they still have Avril Lavigne clothes here. Turn on the Mac. My butt would explode. A lot of my clothes were from Kmart when I was a kid. I used to love when they would come with a bonus thing. Turn on the Mac. Would wear. Seems like a pretty considerably downsized clothing area. That whole layaway department is new from when I worked here. That definitely wasn't there, but I don't know how many people utilize layaway anymore. It's pretty cute. I don't think it belongs there, but I'm gonna pop around in the women's section. This is kind of cool. I mean, it's the summer, but sure. These are cool. There's definitely not like a cohesive theme to whatever is here. Like, here's a skirt, here's a velvet shirt, here is like a denim jacket. Like, this isn't really, and this is just like in the aisle. Like, I don't know what I'm even looking for here. I'm a busy man, so I can't like F around in Kmart all day. Like, this seems pretty random. Like, cool. Like, I'm so into this, but it was like buried in this random assortment. Pull-on white linen pants. That's kind of my style. Definitely my attitude. Sick. is this ladybug shirt? So overstocked. What a nightmare to clean up. This is still all winter stuff out. So here are the aisles. Pretty bleak. Just kind of middle displays. There's a whole thing of like rugs spilling out and then containers. And then same over here. Pretty bleak. But Kmart always has the best purses. From what I remember. See, these are pretty cute. Is that not fucking cute? Damn. There is a crazy wall of hats. High demand. Guess who's back? I could just get rid of all this shit. No one ever wants this. Here's a jewelry counter, which I think is like such a tired piece of like the retail apocalypse. Yeah, let me hop on that. So watches, that stuff. No one wants stuff like this. No one wants any of that. And there's no one around in case you did, so you could easily talk yourself out of it. Here's like a bunch of watches. Like, this is bigger than my face. More watches. So here is the register system, and it is exactly how it was when my parents worked at Kmart. You can pay with checks here, and a check will go through here. You have to type in the computer, and then you scan. It looks like there's a new credit card reader. A blessing. But this isn't some old thing. This is exactly how they look. Kmart has the best shoes. Are these not what's up? Copyright infringement? This graphic has been here since I worked here. We're gonna look at the beauty section and then we're gonna go. Because my camera's on one bar. Here's the automotive section, which I would say is like the most popular part of the store and something I sold the most of when I worked here. But still like scary. And I guess like a problem for theft. So here's the cosmetic section, and it's got, you know, Playboy perfume. These are the grocery aisles. It's just 3 aisles. And here's the beauty. This has been improved since I worked here. These are taller. They used to be a lot shorter, but I would say there's way more emphasis on beauty now. I guess Elf is an in-house brand they have. Not in-house brand, but something they have here. Some makeup here I haven't seen for a little while, so maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing. This display has always been here since I worked here. I remember Queen L back here. This has not been changed for 10 years. Wet n Wild. People trying out the nail polish. This is like, I guess, pretty poorly lit area. They have Almay. Jordana, I've never heard of. Seems to be affordable. And some like bags on the floor. Revlon and Maybelline. Then when you come over here, it's body wash, shampoo, brushes, hair dye. All of these aisles are actually taller. Seems that like they added this addition up here to make all these aisles taller. But I would say taller aisles can be a bad thing because this isn't back stock. That's the only place it's available. So if I needed some of that stuff, I can't really access it. And you can see everywhere. Here I am, and that's how high it goes. Kind of weird, right? It's pretty high. Like my arm goes to here naturally, and I cannot reach that. Kind of weird. Same with like these diapers. Like I want to ask someone for help to get my diaper. And then toothpaste. This has always been magazines and stuff, and there's the restroom. That's always been like that. Here's like medicine and then children. I have one bar battery left, so I'm gonna skip this area and whip back to the front. Toy aisle with this additional top here. Ugh. This is all vacuums and stuff, kind of like a Sears section. And then homewares, Bless This Nest and shit like that. Kenmore, that's an in-house brand. No one wants this stuff, I guess. Garden, and this is where the electronic section used to be. See her like jamming out? Not focusing here. I noticed that not all of the lights are on. So it's kind of dark in here. So the electronics section says home entertainment is very, very, very small. If you want to come to this Kmart to buy electronics, and like you would think you would, these are your only options. Sorry, the camera's having a hard time focusing. There's not a lot of light in here. So if you came to this Kmart, you could pick from these 7 TVs, these 4 remotes, and that's it. Like I said earlier, you can't come here for a video game. This is really crazy. When I worked here, we had an electronics department that had its own cash register and its own security system. Now, this is it. These TVs aren't even in the back. They're right here in the customer's way. And here's some cables and some prepaid phone cards. Wow. If you were coming to Kmart for a DVD, this is what you can pick from. Some buybacks from Blockbuster. In an effort to not film anyone without their consent, this final shot is just me waiting in line to purchase a couple of the little things I had grabbed. There's about 6 people in line in front of me and only one available cashier. I looked around, no other cashiers were running to our rescue. So my overall impression of this Kmart was pretty depressing. I mean, they had a extremely downsized electronics department. You couldn't go there to buy a video game or a console like when I worked there. I noticed that the people who worked there wasn't anyone very young, no teenagers, no one in their 20s working there, like as opposed to when I worked there. If Softlines was one of their biggest departments, it was very confusing as a shopper to go through and see the clothing. As a person who is 5'5", I couldn't reach the top 3 aisles, and the store was very dark and underlit, and just like a confusing and unwelcoming experience as compared to Target, which is lit up and fun and surprising and organized. So let me know, do you have a Kmart in your town? Is it similar to the one like this, or is it different? Do you remember shopping Kmart when you were a kid? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if it's your first time here, and thank you guys so much for joining me. Until next time.